Still starting. Okay, there you go.
I am April Baby, and I am the humble Mr. Brando.
Huh? This song is so freaking dope. So I added it down below. Man, y'all. Do you ever have that time in your life where you be like, I see clearly? Do you feel me? I mean, nah, I'm not even joking with it. Like, you playing. Like, I'm like, for real, like, I'm seeing concisement. I'm seeing, like, fulfillment. I'm seeing things happen that haven't happened in 10 plus years. You over here singing songs about you can see clearly now the rain. The rain is still here. We deep in the trenches of rain. As a matter of fact, it's a tsunami number 5 right now. We are in all kinds of trouble.
See. You stealing my joy?
No, I'm not stealing your joy. I'm trying to tell you, your joy is, where is it? What is your joy in?
What's my joy? My family. You asked me. Right? You asked me.
No, you're right.
Oh, okay. I thought you was asking me.
Yeah,
my family. Like, you know, family over everything. Family first. That's my joy.
Okay, that's admirable.
You wouldn't say family first?
I would say what?
Oh, okay. I just you.
I do all this for you. I don't do this for me no more.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I live my life to make my, significant other smile. Except for when she's doing stuff that she knows she's not supposed to be doing, like that right there. But, I'm doing it.
What am I doing?
Nothing.
I can't drink on air.
You can drink. You've been drinking on air every time.
You drink too. Okay.
No, this is absolutely air.
Slave driver.
That was me cracking my whip.
That's right, Daisy. You tell him. Tell him. Girls rule the world.
Okay.
I am April BB.
And she
girl power.
What?
Girl power. Right, Daisy? Daisy! Don't leave me hanging.
Go. And I am the humble Mr. Brando.
Tell him.
And welcome to
Tell just a wagon.
The status of the reinstatement of the Iraqi Dinar.
IQ. Okay.
And it's all about my gang. And shout out to my crew. 2 new members came on today. Shout out to my crew, my gang.
You know what Babe said?
What?
Girls rule, boys drool. I know that's right, babe. Better tell them to the curves and our.
Okay, well then here we go.
Okay, go ahead.
Miss Vivi gonna do the news tonight, and I'm gonna sit back and ask questions.
Nah, because we'll be talking about that whale that cashed in Bitcoin and caused the market to drop. So y'all.
But where's Bitcoin right now?
That's what I'm saying. It caused the market to drop.
Oh, okay.
It's $22 million. A whale, one person cashed in.
So when I cashed in $22 million with IQD?
No. So they bought what did I calculate? I was doing the calculations at work. It's like 3,000 Bitcoins, right? They probably bought it back in December at like 3,500.
They waited to get to 8,
and then like probably had it set for 9 because it did teeter to 9 at one point, and then it sold, and they made it 22 racks or 22 M's and left, and it caused the market to go.
Does purchases like that cause like they know where they bought it from, they know the time or anything like that?
Yeah, it's on the blockchain.
So you can tell who bought it.
You can't tell who bought it, but you can see the transaction.
Right, you can see what they've been doing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like more about the currency trade. Because you can't see what I'm buying or what I'm doing.
Okay.
But on the blockchain, it doesn't have like a name, a username.
No. You can't see that stuff. It's all encrypted private codes. But see, here's the thing. You know, the government really don't like blockchain, right? Because they can't really tell who it is, right? But see, how they know who it is Coinbase and EFC records. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, let's know your customer at that point.
Right.
And that's why I think a lot of people, when they have a problem, when they say, well, why do they want to know who I am if I'm buying currency? Well, because you're buying a physically asset or a bond or a stock. It just happens to be currency, right? Well, and if it is to rise in value one day, right? They want to make sure they can do what?
They can hold you to the fire.
Know your customer.
So you can pay taxes. And it's just like when we go to cash in our dong, in our IQD.
Yeah, well, exchange, same thing. Know. But the whole thing is, this is what I want people to understand. Know your customer is something that the populace that we speak to 3 times a week, they need to get used to. Because there's no anonymity in buying and selling things anymore. Something in here, Bug?
I thought I saw something. Go ahead.
Okay.
Ignore me.
So the idea is that when you buy something, they're going to know who you are. They're going to know what you bought. They're going to know how much you bought, when you bought it, what your trends are, and stuff like that. And don't be nervous about that, okay? Just have some intestinal fortitude to say, this is my buying purchases or my club or my gang or whatever I'm doing, and this is what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? You've got to have some understanding what you're doing.
No matter what, remember to hold some back. You know what I mean? Like me and Kevin Wealth were talking today, and he's trying to understand tax implication. So, he bought some dong, and he said, say if this goes, what's my tax implication? And he's trying to understand, like, well, why don't they take it up front? They're only going to take it up front if you ask them to, but you're going to be taxed on it. You
think of it as winning at a casino.
Yeah.
Right? You went into a casino, what? You want to be taxed now, you want to be taxed later. Now, I'm going to say this to a lot of folks, and a lot of people are going to get mad at me, but a lot of people are going to be like, tax me later. The people that have less money to exchange at the beginning should get taxed first. Take the hit in the beginning.
Well, I think they allow you to make that option.
Well, I know they do. I'm just saying that if I was only cashing, that's the wrong word. If I was only exchanging, let's say $1 million, I have $1 million. So my out the gate is like 200,000, right? I'm just saying that's my thing. I need 200,000 cash. I'm going to go ahead and pay tax on 200,000.
And see,
I don't want to pay taxes on the rest.
Let me tell you something. So the very first Survivor winner, and I don't remember this gentleman's name, he won $1 million on Survivor, okay?
Right.
He didn't pay taxes. He's had to serve time in jail because what he did was he won the $1 million and started spending it.
Right.
The government kind of sets you up sometimes, like you got to have some kind of control.
Right.
If you win $1 million, that's a short term. You're probably gonna get charged 37%.
Right.
You go pay the $370,000.
Yeah, pay the $370,000
before you go spending the rest.
Yeah, before you go buy the Bentley or the yacht or you want to go to Vegas with the girls or the boys.
Yeah.
Before you go blow your change, have some like a thought process, and that's what we teach in the Kangaguru Club. That there's a thought process. There's an ideal. There's an ideology behind not winning this money, but you strategized for it. There's a difference between winning something and then thinking about it manifesting and happening.
Even not even win, like earn or invest.
That's what I'm saying. When you earn money, it's a lot different than when you win it. A lot of people look at this as like winning or losing. It's not winning or losing. It's about I made an investment, my investment paid off. Now, what's the next step to my investment? You see what I'm saying? My investment, not my winnings, not my. Well, now I know a lot of people sit out there on 100 million or more worth. Well, that's a winning to them. So they're going to blow whatever. You're on a different level than most of the people are only sitting on a quarter million. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying is that $250,000 doesn't have to be the end of your money. That $250,000 could be the start to your billion, and that could be for the millionaire. That could be the end of their millions and down to that $250,000. You see what I'm saying? I mean, like the roles can't reverse.
Yeah. Okay? Oh, and I want to give a shout out to Pimpe. His son's graduating today. So,
shout out the pimp.
Yeah. So
Uncle Luke.
Congratulations, Pimpe. I know you're proud.
We got some things we want to talk about. The yuan was almost at $7. It's going to hit it soon. ISO 3166, the Q cards. MasterCard's looking like it's going to run rampant some more. McDonald's, man, they're going to accept every currency in the world for 3 hours, or so it was rumored.
Yeah, I saw that article, actually.
It's actually not every currency in the world. It's only 4, but I let people think what they want. They don't read the full articles. That's okay. Now, it is very interesting, though, that McDonald's accepting 4 currencies. Now, I had this thought, and BB, I want to ask you this question. Mm-hmm. What do you think McDonald's plan was that they accepted every major currency in the world for 4 hours? What do you think their plan was, their exit strategy? I have mine.
I kind of found it odd, and I was like, okay, so they're getting involved in a foreign currency,
right?
And I think it's certain ones that they're looking for. So,
right, they were trying to collect them or maybe hold them.
I guess they anticipate them going up and maybe possibly holding them.
Can I tell you my strategy if I was McDonald's?
Okay.
This is what I thought. So let's say you're collecting all this currency from around the world. The currency that is exchangeable for dollar to pay for payroll and stuff like that, they do. The currencies that are considered almost exotic, you want to see them doing? Trading it in for digital currency and then for buying on platforms like such as Binance or Coinbase or whatever they want to buy in that native currency, less certain fees, and buying up digital currencies. That way they get their money out of it anyway, and they actually increase their market share.
How do they do that?
So, like, let's say I'm in Algiers, right? The currency there is 0.084 or something like that. It's like 8 cents or 9. It's like 0.08 of a cent, right? They exchange their currency into a bank. Then they take whatever they have in Algiers, right? And they buy Bitcoin with it. Mm-hmm. Straight like it was from an exchange. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, whatever that goes up or to or goes down to, McDonald's. But that's my exit strategy for McDonald's if they did that. That was my idea. Okay.
And Kathleen, just so you know, he's reading off the whiteboard. He'll show it at the end.
Yeah.
Where's the whiteboard?
Oh, do they want to see it now?
You can if you want to go over it.
Here. Okay. Sorry to cover it, Miss BB. So here's the whiteboard. You guys see I'm talking about the yuan. Want to get in here?
Go ahead.
I'm talking about ISO and the Q cards, the MasterCards. We talked about McDonald's. Article 8, green zone. MasterCard versus Q card. Gold 5th place. Article 140, post-RI. What is post-RI movement? Or what is post-RI information? I think what a lot of people are like misconceiving, and maybe I did myself, is what they're going to do after their currency reinstates or before their currency reinstates. And I think certain things that people are looking at as metrics are going to be afterwards, but they're telling you they can't put the cart before the horse. They're trying to get all their little ducks in a row, so when they get ready to reinstate their currency, then they'll be able to say, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Hey, this is what's going on. A body and transitional administration law versus the financial management law. So there's 2 things going on there. Sauter says a prayer for Ed. If you see up here in the corner, there's all kinds of people up here. This might be some Kangaguru crew. This might be the gurus. I don't know who this is. But you see all the question marks around them? I'm getting ready to tell you guys right now. Someone just said, hold on, I'm going to read you guys this. Someone just said, McDonald's just a promotion, really a gimmick. You will be able to get a Big Mac for a Canadian quarter. Or maybe it's a test draw on the blockchain for McDonald's. That's my whole point. If you were thinking on the level of they're going to take that money, no matter what it is, good, bad, or ugly, and exchange it and put it in on the digital currency market and get it on the blockchain, even if they had all dogs, the money was a loser. That if that money rose up 1%, they actually just made all their money back plus 100-fold. So people could say what they want to about the McDonald's article, but I'm here to tell you guys, I think as a marketer, it's absolutely brilliant. And I also think I follow our best friend on YouTube. He brings good news. Like Mr. Brando, he said today he will be Oh yeah, I was saving that. I didn't put that on the board because I want to give everybody their news. But I'm just telling you guys, the blockchain is where it's at. Now I'm going to read that statement right there by someone just put right there.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my friend. Well, I shouldn't call him my friend, right? I mean, Ms. BB gets on me about that. I was on the phone today with a very good Dinarian confidant, right? Someone that I think that is where I'm at in my thinking, my beliefs. Now, he doesn't have as large a platform yet. You know what I'm saying? Now, this guy's on the verge of blowing the hell up. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. This guy is on the verge, and I'm going to have him on the show on Friday. His name is Dinar Investor. He's as legit as they come. Him and I share a lot of the same viewpoints, and that doesn't make him legit. But I'm just saying that the things that he says are fact-based and asset-based and informationally based, as opposed to being like, well, I feel this or I feel that, or God this or God that. And he's a very godly man. He's great actively in his church, and he's a very, very good person. But he doesn't use that Bible-thumping God thing to his advantage. He uses fact-based approach, which I really like. And him and I have talked probably 7 times today. Mm-hmm. And I just think the guy is brilliant. I mean, people say, well, Mr. Brando don't like nobody. He criticizes everybody, right? I think Dinar Investor is one of those persons that if I was to be new in this game and listen to somebody, I'd listen to him, and I'd probably fare pretty good. He's a good guy.
Ron says, I heard banks overseas are exchanging dinar today and liquidating tomorrow. Any truth to that story?
No, because the Linchnpin hasn't been sprung, and until that Linchnpin has been sprung, that's not going to happen. So I'm sorry, Ron, that's impossible.
Do you know which currencies that McDonald's is?
Yeah, the Canadian dollar, they're accepting. Hang on. They're going to be taking 4 to 5, I believe. Here, I'll tell you real quick.
Because I think you sent me the article, but I didn't read it all.
I sent it to you. They're going to get a McFlurry from Dutch. So they're money from Dutch. A grand extreme bacon burger, quarter pounder beef cut. I believe that's England.
I know that the Canadian
tomato mozzarella sandwich. So I think it's going to be cheesy bacon fries from Great Britain. So that's 4.
Yeah, because so Canada,
Britain,
Dutch,
maybe Italy.
Scroll down somewhere. Okay, go back up. I guess that's it then. Go back up.
There's 4. This one right here, tomato chicken sandwich. I can't tell you what it is.
Maybe Italy.
That's Canada. Tomato mozzarella chicken sandwich is Canada. Grand Extreme burger might be American. Okay. Oh, there it is. Nope, that is from Spain.
So there goes that.
So Spain, Dutch, Canadian, and Great Britain. So no, not all currencies will be accepted, but those will be. Okay. So don't go down there with your dinar or your real or your zim and asking for something, because they'll probably say we ain't got you. Article 8. There was an article that Ms. BB passed out. It said federal ministers of planning and finance shall submit to the Economic Affairs Committee or the Council of Ministers at the beginning of August of each year the draft federal budget bill to study it and submit recommendations to the Council of Ministers in early September. Now, I think one thing that I think people get caught up in, and I wrote this down, was people that get caught up in what's called pre-reinstatement talks and post-reinstatement talks. Okay? Opening of the green zone was a pre-reinstatement talk. That's one of the things they said they were going to do before they reinstated their currency. Go ahead.
A couple of subscribers reached out to me, and I told them there's no such thing as a dumb question, but they want to know what the green zone is.
A green zone is like where the American embassy is where Parliament is. Think of it as like they're downtown, but they're like capital, like they're an important place where all the dignitaries are. There's some dignitaries that live there. It's like their capital city. So
like Washington, D.C. for us?
Yeah. Great example.
Okay.
If Washington, D.C. was totally protected, like blocks and blocks and blocks, not just the White House, but other.
There's a Pentagon not that far.
Yes, same thing. Great analogy. So, yes, think of that as like that. And like the green zone has not been open in 16 years.
So when you say it's not been open, what does that mean? Like people can't walk through?
No, people can walk through there. But there's these big concrete mortars. There's these big barriers. There's police and military forces, guarding it. It's like base. It's like home base if you're playing tag. You know what I'm saying? So when it got bombed or missiled a few weeks ago, it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they still opened the green zone after the missile attack. Mm-hmm. You guys got to see the clues like for what they are. They opened it anyway after it got missiled. You see what I'm saying? That was one of the key component things they said they were going to do when their country was stable and it was getting ready to reinstate, that it was going to get ready to happen. Okay. There's one more thing that's going to happen that I'm going to tell you guys about too, right?
While you tell them, I'm going to get a pinch of coffee.
Okay. As far as most consumers are concerned, there is no real difference between MasterCard and Visa. There are both widely accepted in over 200 countries, and it's very rare to find a location that accepts one without the other. However, neither Visa nor MasterCard actually ever issues credit cards themselves. So that was one of the main things that I wanted to explain today, though, was about credit. Now, they're going from their key card system, and I looked it up. Very good system. It's been around since I believe 2004, 2005. And it was from Rafidinian Bank and from another big bank. And it was kind of like their entitlement card. And it is about credit, and how they issued credit at that time was if you had good money in the bank, you had money deposits being made regularly, then you were issued credit or a line of credit. If you didn't, then you had to go through a prepaid system. So a lot of people, I think, kind of got the whole idea confused about what credit was or wasn't in Iraq. Also, they also got confused about how the QI cards were important, not important. MasterCard is more widely accepted in the world if you count the United States of America, more so than even Visa. So it makes perfect sense that they would want the MasterCard logo all over their card, because if it is, that is a definitive sign of internationalism, because that card is more widely accepted in the world. Only one on par with it is Visa. So the Q card, from switching from that Q card, which is the yellow card with looks like a computer button on it, to the MasterCard logo, is kind of like you getting your debit card back in the day from your local bank or your community or your what do you call those places? Credit union, and then taking an international card and being able to go shopping anywhere in the world with it. Very, very important. The Kurdish deputy called for Ahmadi to seriously open the files of corruption. Now, another thing that people got to understand was before they could reinstate their currency, they had to have a judiciary system that was open and active about their files of corruption, right? It had to be transparent. They've done that. There's really not much, if anything, that they need to do to actually reinstate their currency. And it's not that we don't need to talk about it. We need for people to understand that if they could bring up one clause or another why it hadn't happened, I could probably myself or maybe 3 or 4 of the people that I know of that are immersed into this that actually could give an example why it could happen or why it should happen or why maybe it hadn't happened. I think what people are calling delays in the first quarter are not delays. I think it was actually a punch list of things that they had to get done before they could actually reinstate their currency. You see what I'm saying? And that it took a whole quarter to do so. So now we're in quarter 2. We're getting ready to come to the end of it come June. And I've seen articles out there that say, Mr. Brando, he's kicking the can down the road again. He doesn't have the answers. I would love to share with people why I think I was wrong about April. Mm-hmm. But if I did, I would come off like one of these other schmucks out here. You see what I'm saying? And I didn't really count my ideologies correctly and my actual theology correctly, meaning my pursuit for an interest in religion. And if I would have looked at April as a different month. Okay. I told you that earlier today. I told you what I thought. Mm-hmm. If you look at April as a different month and you actually throw in a little bit of kind of like kind words from a soul that I know is someone who deeply is loved and watched throughout here, you would actually think, man, the anniversary of 2 great events is about to happen. One already did happen. One's about to happen. It's a huge celebration. And I think that these guys actually have a seated government. We saw that. Remember I told you that the other day when the Minister of Interior issued that statement about their directive that they wanted to give? I think that directive has been in place. I'm not going to hide my druthers on that. I think people are, when they see these articles about it hadn't happened, it's going to be months, it's going to be months. That's their way of saying speculators go away. You see what I'm saying? Don't believe me. Speculators go away. Don't run on this currency because we don't even have a government. And you got to think about something. If you're going to have stability, what's the very first thing you think of when you think about stability in a country? Besides currency. Don't think currency for a second.
So
you think about a country like, I'll give you an example.
So a good jobs.
Okay. I'll give you an example. So when you think of Venezuela, what do you think of right now?
You want me to be honest?
Mm-hmm.
Broke.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about their government? Lawless? Non-existent?
I don't really.
Right, you don't even think government.
I kind of stop after I think broke because didn't they lock?
Let's do.
Didn't they lock?
Doesn't matter. I said don't think of currency. Okay, listen. So Venezuela. Mm-hmm. Think of Australia.
I think they're equivalent to the United States. I mean.
Okay. What about like Great Britain?
Equivalent.
What about Zimbabwe?
Poor.
Why?
They have no infrastructure, no government in place.
Okay. Now go with that. No government in
place.
But
they have gold, but they
right.
They have
I got money.
They got riches, but they don't have no structure.
Right. So when you think of ultimate stability in a region or a country or a continent, what do you think now would be the definition of stability? You want me to give you a hint?
I think everybody want to be like the United States.
Right, but the United States, for all of its flaws, has a well-run what?
Country.
Country based upon who runs the country?
The people. I mean,
no, the people don't.
The government.
There you go. There you go.
Even if we have a bad president, there's
the country runs.
Yeah.
The infrastructure, the government runs the country.
Right.
Good or a bad president, love Obama or hate Trump or vice versa or whatever. The country's based upon its stability being that it's a well-oiled machine. The well-oiled machine is the government.
Because our country has the power to impeach a president.
Correct.
Because we've
done checks and balances
with Nixon.
Yeah.
Right?
With Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's checks and balances, right?
Right.
So when you think stability within a country, even if that government, even if
they
that's
hold their leaders accountable. So now, what is the one thing that Iraq doesn't have? I guess accountability.
Because of what?
That I don't know. Because
they don't have a well-oiled machine in government. Think about this. If their government was stable, if they'd elected all their officials, if they'd have got all of that done. Now, granted, they've never gotten all of that done in the 15 years that they've had a chance to do it. Never. Why right now is that going to happen?
Because they want it to happen.
Because it has to happen.
They're trying to put it in place.
Right. So the linchpin to the whole investment. Now, you can quote me. They can put me on all kinds of sites saying I'm the wannabe guru. I'm this, I'm that. I'm telling you this. You will see a formed government between now and hopefully the end of the month. And if you do, I'm going to give you guys a verse in the Bible. I gave it to you earlier. I had an epiphany when I was talking to
you remember it?
I do. I wrote it. I actually wrote it down. Mm-hmm. When you see the government seated in Iraq because they got the green zone open, that was the only other thing they said. Article 140 is post Reinstatement Act. If you want to see them accept Article 8, that's post Reinstatement Act. If you want to see all those other things happen, they don't have to. They got to pay off Kuwait, but Kuwait already said they'll take their money later. This is everything is done. And no one can argue the fact. Okay. If you can, call me. Tell me where I'm wrong. But I will tell you this. In one verse, you hear them say, we got it. It's going to be months and months and months before we get a government seated. In the next, the Minister of Interior is issuing directives based upon policy. Their government's been seated for a while. They're lying to you. Mm-hmm.
Their government's been seated for a while. Because for a while we were on a roll. Bam, they're seating everybody. The last few seats is like, oh.
And then remember, they hired all these committee members and presidents for those areas in Interior, Defense, Justice, Education. But why would you hire all these executives and these workers, but you've got no executives to fill those roles? Because people don't understand the symbolism. The symbolism of a formed government. A formed government to the average person means stability. So if they were going to all of a sudden become transparent and open up to the international stage, the linchpin to all that would be to seat their government, which has never happened. And that's why Mahdi won't get a vote of non-confidence, because he's actually done it. Mm-hmm. It's not that he can't do it. He's actually done it. Now, if he's done it, when do you expect to see the currency to reinstate? Right? Mm-hmm. Well, think about this. If they open up the green zone and they got their government seated, they really couldn't wait no more about 5 to 7 days before they actually had to reinstate their currency. Because if they didn't, you know what would happen? Someone like a George Soros would come in and ruin them like he ruined Great Britain.
So how long is the green zone going to be open for?
Forever. 24/7, 365.
Okay, so it's open permanently. So it's not a temporary thing. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the reason why tonight I'm not using any sound effects, because I don't want to belittle the conversation. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is so important.
Okay.
Hold on. I got a text her in. This is a Dinar Investor. Dinar Investor just texted me and said, tell them how current articles reflect the completion. If you look at all the articles that are out, and we're going to go over them in depth on Friday with me and Dinar Investor. But if you look at all the articles that are actually out right now, they talk about completion of this, completion of that. This is done. That is done. This is done. It's not that we're working on it. It's done. Now you got to think, even Article 140, the law has been passed. What they had to have done before they could reinstate their currency was pass that law. The law has been passed. The implication of that law is the actual, we're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They say that will be done before 2023. Now, I get what people are saying. That's like 3 years from now. I get that, but it's really not. They're telling you that they'll be already paying the citizens. It's like the cart or the horse. Think about this. If you were a citizen of Iraq, mm-hmm. and they could reinstate the currency, and you have reinstated currency at a real value, a nominal value, would you rather have purchasing power, or would you rather have a bunch of currency that holds no value?
Purchasing power.
So that means that if you're going to accept Article 140, the citizens would rather have the ability to buy goods and services and utilize that cash flow that they have, even if they have less of it, because the note count's going to go down, then they would rather have a bunch of currency and not trust the bank or go down and use it for anything because everything's so expensive.
It'll be so interesting to see how this plays out.
No, it's playing out before your eyes.
No, I mean when the deletion of the 3 zeros after that, how it pans out.
Well, here's the idea of the deletion of the 3 zeros, and this is the only way it can play out in your favor. If they were going to lop the currency, it would be lopped. Every one of those 3-0 notes, the 10,000, the 25,000,
the 50,
the 50,000 are going to be used for large institutional buying. Those notes are going to be replaced by notes that are 50, 25, and 10. That doesn't mean that they're actually now a $10 note. That means the $25,000 notes are coming, or the 10,000 or 25 or 5 are coming off of the scene, right? Now that 25 is really 25, but the 25,000 is kind of like the United States is 10,000. Those are going to be used for large institutional buying. You see what I'm saying? Doesn't mean you don't have 25,000 anymore. And it doesn't mean if I go down to the bank with a $25,000 note, the bank's going to give me a $25 note. It doesn't mean that at all. And no one's ever said that.
How deep do you think the United States is in IQD?
I'll tell you how deep they are in IQD. At one point, they were printing their currency for them. They made their currency for them.
What do you mean?
They actually made the new currency that's out right now. The United States. The Treasury Department made the currency that locks on. They made it. That's how deep they are involved in this.
I understand, but I'm saying, so how deep financially, monetary, how many dinar total across the United States do you think we have?
Trillions. We know they've been buying trillions. We know that for a fact because of Peter, right? Mm-hmm. We know that trillions, at least 25. And not to mention all the Americans that bought into it, you know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Between politicians, government officials, U.S. citizens, our government overall sitting in our treasury.
Okay, I'll give you an example. So let's say the United States bought $25 trillion. Then they bought because they're going to invest in the One Belt, One Road initiative. Now, the question that you really want to ask yourself is, because that money is going to be used as a derivative, the question you really want to ask yourself is what's the money going to, so like if you got someone that owns $1 billion or less, what's the money going to really equal out for them to be? That's the $1 million question.
Right. Because I just keep going back to my dream about them giving a false rate.
Right. So when they come out the bat, they're going to come out and say,
like say they came out
70 cents.
Right.
And the average person that's involved in this investment is going to run to the bank and they're going to cash in 50 to 75% of their money because they're just tired of waiting. That's what they're counting on. And then they're going to float that money up. And when it hits the values that it should, instead of them being well and sitting back and saying, well, I can sit back and this could be this or this could be that, they're going to sit back.
I know this sounds crazy. Can I say it?
Sure.
I feel like you got to be like a poker player, right? So let's say you spent $5,000, $1,000 on IQD, walk in there with one note, $25K note. That you've already paid for what you paid for getting into this investment. You see what I'm saying? So you can, and I know people are probably gonna be like mad about this, but I'm just thinking logically, because if they come out with that initial rate, that's not the, and it's a trick rate, and I'm just gonna call it a trick rate. I know y'all said, but I've seen this in a dream, and I just feel like they don't want to see America prosper. Right.
Well, they don't like Americans. Right.
So they're going to come out with this low rate. Right. They're going to get people to run to the bank. Right. They're just tired. I'm tired. I've been in this for 10 years. Cash in. And let's say it's 70 cents. Right. So they're getting rid of the IQD. People turning it in. If you just sit back and think about this logically, if you spent $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, you walk in there and you only turn in a minimum amount of note to get your initial investment back out, and then just wait for it.
Or I'll say this: why don't you just take whatever you need to get well? I'm talking about pay off your bills, loosen up some things. You got people on your back. Not one note. Let's just say you need $750,000, but you got 30 million dinar. You know what I'm saying? Take $750 down there, trade in.
And I don't even want to go that high. You know,
I'm just talking
my conversation with people. Let's say they hold 500K in IQD, right? And let's say you just take a 25K note in.
At 500K, you should take 10%. You should take 50K down there. That's my opinion. Okay. And that's my opinion. I'm gonna tell you why. Let's just say you've got an apartment, you got a car, you got this and that. Just pay off those cars. Pay off your credit card. Pay on your student loans.
But wait, no, don't pay it. Remember, didn't we have that conversation? Pay up your bills for a few months.
Oh, no, you're right. Pay up your bills for a few months, get yourself well, and that way you can sit back and relax and watch the market to be whatever it needs to be. Digital currency, gold, it could be more fiat currency in Malaysia or Vietnam or somebody else, but then you have currency freed up that you have cash flow to use yourself as basically a private equity business. You can invest in what you want. That's great. Yeah. That's what we've always done.
And I mean, we're not financial advisors. We sit around and we throw numbers, write down stuff, think about this, because when the RV happens, you want to be smart, right? Like, I mean, I know we've all been waiting, right? Pay off the little bills, get yourself good for 60 days, and then hold on to the extra and just wait. That's Jason Biden. Yeah.
Hello?
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello?
Maybe.
Hey, what's up, Jason?
Oh, just having the conversation. Name is April.
Hey there, Jason. How are you doing?
I am doing awesome. Thanks to you and Mr. B and the Kangaguru crew.
Salute. Hey, can I ask you a dumb question?
Sure.
We saw the financial management law go through. Do you know how important the law of administration, that's about to happen this week is for Iraq. Have you heard about that law?
Yes.
Do you think you're ready to share that, or you want to hold that back till Friday? Or I have it in front of me, the coalition authority for it. I mean, it's on you.
What do you feel? What do you feel? Because I'm just really, you know, like you said, the timeline of everything that you put out, and goodness gracious, God bless your heart. You know, you laid out everything, and it's exactly what they have been doing. This thing is, like you said from the very beginning of your shows, all these things needed to be laid out in a timeline.
Right.
You can't put the cart before the horse, and they did exactly that.
And it took the whole first quarter for them to do that.
Correct. Yes.
Right. Right.
Because all these things, and I'm like trying to resist my excitement because, like you said, that they're doing it already. This is happening. It's happening already, like you said, right before your eyes.
Now, Jason, did you see that thing I said about the calendar that I was talking to Dinar Investor about? Did you see that?
Yes.
Should I tell them that, or you think I should wait? I'll wait for him. I'm gonna wait for him. Because we didn't get April wrong. We got April wrong because we don't know about different months for different years for different religions. That's why we got April wrong. April was right.
Right. And yes. All the information we put out did happen. So
it happened.
We weren't really wrong. Yes, exactly. We weren't wrong. It's just, you know, interpreting the calendar in different ways.
Right.
And now we understand how they are doing it.
Right.
You know?
So now this law that's about to come out this week is actually, I'm going to read one phrase. It says Article 2. The term transitional period shall refer to the period beginning on 30th of June 2004 and lasting until the formation of an elected Iraqi government and pursuant to a permanent constitution.
Correct. Which, what did I say in your last show? What's coming up this Saturday?
This law. And this law just told you that as soon as they have a fully seated government, it's all retroactive to day one. I didn't know it until I saw this thing right here. Jason didn't even tell me this. He was like, read it again. I was like, I don't get it. But this law.
I kept telling you, read it. Yep. Everything like what you just said. I mean, I like I said, I almost cried when I read the whole Constitution because it's basically the whole roadmap.
Yeah.
And the way that they're putting it out, like you said, is in a timeline. They have to implement these things according to how it's supposed to be done timely. Mm-hmm. You can't just jump into it. Mm-hmm. You know, you hit it right on the head, sir.
There's no flick of a switch. So, like, I'll tell people this. When Dr. Shabibi got imprisoned for saying that he was going to come out with his ungodly rape, he couldn't have sustained it. Does that make sense? He could have done it.
Yes.
He could have done it. He just couldn't have sustained it to where you'd be able to exchange your money if you get anything out of it. It would have lasted. It wouldn't have. They had to have passed these laws. These laws.
I loved how you're giving Miss Bibi the analogy of other countries. You can't do these things in the Wild West type of style. You have to have law and order. That's why all these things are putting out, all these articles are implementing the tax, be doing the gold, setting up all the government agencies, banking, investment, all these things. You need to have law and order and a government structure in order to make this work.
And for other people to believe in you to invest in your infrastructure, you have to.
Correct. Yes. Look, they just opened up the green zone and they put out an article that they're expecting so many tourists because of the safety and the fact that they're ready to invest in outside people or tourists.
And what just happened 2 weeks ago there? They were missiled. Remember?
Yes. And they still went on schedule as planned.
So what does that tell you? Either they really weren't missiled or that it's a whole heck of a lot safer there than what everybody knows.
There's a brand new one that I know that somebody in the group actually put out.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody actually commented, who actually, I believe, was coming from the UK, finally walked into the green zone and actually felt safe.
Right.
They said for the first time in so many years when they walked, they actually walked like a regular person, not looking over their shoulders whether or not they're going to get bombed.
I want
That's
to read.
amazing.
I want to read a verse from the Bible, and I'm not a Bible
Please do.
person. I want to read one verse. Okay, it's Jeremiah 29:11, and what it says is, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Now, it doesn't say plan for a future. It says a future. Everything that Iraq has done has been to plan for their future. It's either to solidify it or to enact it. But they've done everything they need to do. And we've looked at this as investors and said, you're not doing it fast enough. You're not doing it right enough. You're not doing it this enough. You're not doing that enough. But you know what's funny? They've done everything they needed to do to reinstate their currency. They're Article 8 compliant right now. They just got to do it.
Yes.
And Article 8 compliant, all it means is that they change the value of their currency. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that they got to do some article or some big thing. Even from the corruption, they have the National Act. They had the meeting. They got the powers together. They got the judiciary together. They've been indicting people, arresting people, fining people. They've done everything on the list that was supposed to be done. Now, the reason why the UN gave them a basic mediocre account for their resolution was because they did not reinstate their currency. If they would have reinstated their currency, the UN would have gave them glowing colors. But they couldn't because they didn't reinstate it.
Yes.
Everybody thought, well, dang, they treat them harshly. No, the UN expected them to be on the international stage right now.
Right. You know, they're reading that totally wrong. Thank you for clarifying that, because it's not. You know, you can't just jump into into the system, and you're going to get shocked. And everybody needs to think: what has Iraq just recovered from? You know,
a war year and a half ago.
Oh yes, sir. You know, here's a good way to actually put it, and I love how all of this is flowing. Here on Guam, we've actually experienced something similar to what Iraq is going through right now. When the Japanese invaded Guam in 1941, it was total chaos. And when the Marines came back and liberated Guam, we had to start all over again. We built up our new, our legislature. We had to build up our economic system. Everything had to start from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so beautiful seeing Iraq go through this, because we went through the same thing.
Right.
And that's you can't just jump into something and overnight flip on the switch and it's going to change. No, it had to be the way it had to be.
Right. It had to be. They had to have those checkpoints crossed off. And the actual UN security came back and said, you know what, we're even going to pass them. They're fine. But now we need to go on to do this, and that. Go ahead.
Right. It wasn't anything negative. It's like, okay, make sure these things get done.
Right.
And people are reading too much into the future of how they're stating things. They need to look at them now in retrospective of how they're going to actually go along and make the changes as they proceed and improve.
Good idea.
So one of the subscribers asked, what's the timeline? What timeline?
No, June 9th through the 30th. That's your timeline.
Yep. Yes. Thanks, B. Yes.
There you go.
Everybody, and
and I can't even tell you why.
I'm very happy.
If they vote on the Financial Administration Act this week, and they always vote on stuff on Saturdays, they're probably going to announce the seated government by the next couple of weeks. By then, the government should be seated before the end of the month. If they have the government seated before the end of the month, then you're looking at very sweet and prosperous times.
Yes.
And Monica
Everybody
wanted
needs to remember that when they do the vote, that actually needs to be recorded in the Gazette as well.
Right.
And that's going to take some time. It's not, that's like we're saying, it's a process.
Right.
It's going to happen. Just hang in there.
Right.
The other thing is they want to know, what are your thoughts on the rate for the dong and the dinar?
I don't do rates and I don't do dates. I just think that if you want to look at historical data, Iraq told the IMF that they wanted to have a rate greater than $3.22 plus inflation.
And that would be basically reinstatement.
Right.
At that part.
Right. Now, the Vietnamese dong is different because they're a exporter that depends heavily on what their exchange is. To me, they can't go too much over $1 ever.
Jason, what is your thoughts on that?
like B and I, and Pimpy had that other discussion. Possibly, looking at how things are because of the fact that they are improving. I mean, I even checked on something today, and I couldn't believe what I was actually, hearing. We'll save that for Friday. But I would say, I would put it this way, because I don't want to, have people like argue amongst other people. The way I see it is that you're going to love whatever's going to happen because the rate is going to be a positive rate anyway. You're not going to go with anything negative. They're not going backwards. They're going forward, meaning both the dinar and the dong. So I would look at it that way. Everybody's invested so much in this. I would gladly say that your investment is going to pay off.
I pray so.
And Tomas, yes, the government of Iraq put out several articles saying they're going to reinstate pre-war time. So yeah, they have.
Jason, what did you say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that I can almost guarantee that things are going to be very, very beautiful for Vietnam because of the fact, and these are facts that I've been putting out. They are working with the United States. Here's the other thing. Everybody needs to understand that Vietnam is a free trade country. They're not bound to what China, really, people think. They actually have free trade with everybody. That's what kind of makes a difference between them and China. And the fact that they've been audited means that they are working with the United States. So they're trying to make that positive vibe come through. And you remember how you and I were talking about, remember I said quality? There was an article that just came out last night. They were talking about exactly that. They pride themselves in quality work. So whether or not, the rate's going to be, predicted, among, maybe something really low or high, the value is going to push up. It's going in a positive direction. So the amount of dong that we have, you're going to end up, I can guarantee you, with over $1 million, when you exchange.
Well, and that's why it's called the big hedge. You're not banking on the dong to do better than the dinar. The dong should be one of those currencies that you take your principal out of it. So, like, let's say it goes for $1. You want to take 50 cents out of that dollar and invest 50 cents of that dollar into something else. Precious metals, more fiats, digital, whatever.
You want a great jumpstart to something better.
Right. You want to take 50 cents and bank it and live off the interest, right?
That's why I love how you were all talking about putting some aside, and using the rest to invest. Don't just go buck wild and think, I'm a baller and start buying Bentleys.
Yeah.
Like that, because that's just crazy.
That's dumb. And that's why we're the investment club. We're, as a club, going to say, so all of us got, let's say, at least $5 million. I'm just using a round number. We're going to take $1 million a piece, and there's 20 of us, 30 of us, 50 of us, 100 of us, and we're all going to buy one coin. You don't think you'll make the needle move if 50 to 100 to 200 millionaires at $1 million a piece buy one coin? You're going to make the needle jump as high as you want
What
to be.
do you mean $1 million for one coin?
One coin.
$1 million.
$1 million per investor per one coin.
You mean more than one coin of the particular coin, but $1 million into that.
Invested, right? So we want to invest in Litecoin. We're going to put, let's just say it's 20 cents. If 50 of us or 100 of us could put $1 million into it, how high do you think that coin would go?
It would move.
That's gonna move.
It would move.
Just like Bitcoin moved.
Bitcoin moved on 22 million. Could you imagine? Now I'm going to talk about 100 to 5 to. I'm talking 100 people already. If I had 500 people doing it, do you see my point?
Yeah.
It's gonna move. So when people tell me this pie in the sky idea is dumb or it ain't gonna work, no. What it has to be is it has to be a conglomerate. It has to be a club, and it has to be understood that when you do this, we're doing it as a group. We're gonna sell as a group. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that to me is going to tell you the difference between. Now here's the difference between buying IQD or being the casual investor with $250,000 and having enough clout to buy in to say, I still want to be a part of this. You see what I'm saying? Because if you only got 100 grand, else invest in $1 million, you got some catching up to do. Now, Jason, I'm so glad to get you on here by yourself. I love my boy Pampy, but I know he's busy tonight. But everybody kept seeing him. He was talking, and you were talking. I'm talking over you. You're in the Kangaguru group on Twitter. Anything you want to share real quick before I close it out?
I just want to tell everybody to just be paying attention to what you're putting out and what everybody else is putting on as far as the crew, so that they're level-headed and clear-minded about what's going on, and to follow everything, accordingly, because it's going to happen. Don't get all bent out of shape because it's not happening now. Just follow the process and everything will be fine. It's coming. Believe that. Believe in yourselves. Believe in Mr. Brando, Miss April, and the crew. And everything's going to be fine. The rates are going to be awesome. I mean, everybody's coming in, with nothing, and you're going to gain something. And, like I always tell everybody, $1 million is better than no $1 million.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're coming into this with wealth we've never imagined. And it's going to be astronomical, but also at the same time, we need to know how to understand it and take care of it.
And the idea is for us to take this money and multiply it. So when we multiply it, once you get your money, you're not going to go back to your crappy job. You're not going to go back to this or that. Your full-time job is going to be making your family a better place than what they are right that day. That's it.
Correct.
That's it.
Invest, And when we're saying invest, it doesn't mean you got to go straight into the stock market.
No.
These are things that will actually keep your money flowing and growing.
Think about this.
Spend, because when you spend, you're not saving.
And think about this, Jason. You're an unconventional person because you invested in foreign currency. Why would you go invest in a conventional circumstance and expect greater returns? You can't.
Right.
You've got to live on the fringe a little bit and see what happens. Now, I'm not saying live on the fringe for like 16 years like we have been now, but I'm saying that it's going to grow, it's going to do better, and just hold on and watch your coins. It's going to do, everything's going to be all right.
Right. And this should actually be a little lead off because everybody's holding on to this right now. So that should tell you when you're going to make future investments, you're going to have to hold on to it as well.
Well, my friend, it's the end of the night. We got 2 minutes left. I'm going to put the whiteboard up. I've got the bodybuilder in here. If you want any of his social media contacts, if he feels up to it, I will always post them. He's on my Facebook. He's on my YouTube. He's on my Twitter. He's in my group. If you want to talk to Jason, if you want to get muscle advice, you want to talk to Jason, you can talk to him. You just got to let me know and we'll get you in contact with him. He is the man. And hey, man, brother, if I haven't told you lately, I love you, man. Thank you for doing what you do. And thank you for putting forth all the effort. I don't say it enough. I've been off the last couple of days running around doing errands, and this guy's been carrying me, helping me around like an old shoe. Thank you so much, brother, okay?
I love you, and I love Miss April. I love the crew.
Love you too, Jason.
If it weren't for you, all of us would not have been here to share all this great information. Thank you, and gosh, we love you.
We love you too, brother. I'm going to put up the board. I'm going to hang out with Jason because he's the bomb. I know he's got work to do tonight. And,
have a good night, Jason.
Have a great night, my brother. We'll talk later.
Good night, April.
Good night.
Bye, sir.
George K., I think you're in the Patreon. I'll send you a message in If you could reach out to me on Facebook or Patreon, we'll figure it out.
What's going on?
He needed help with crypto stuff.
Okay.
I believe he's in the Patreon. So I just got to point him to the right video. He's having problems with the finance thing. And just so you, Monica asked if we could leave the chat open. I told her once we go kill the live, it's a wrap. So as long as you stay in the chat, you guys can continue to chat with each other. But I don't think any new people can come in. And then once you leave the chat, it's a wrap. So that's just how YouTube works. Sorry. You're welcome, is it Susie?
Susie?
Yeah, Susie Calloway. That was something I was going to say. Thank you, Michael, for that. Yes, join the Patreon group. You won't regret it.
Oh, the Reaper. Here's the Reaper right here.
What do you say?
He said the Reaper is me.
Hey, Reaper.
Hey, Reaper. Good to see you, bro.
You got it?
Yeah, I think so. Oh.
Okay. Gotcha. I know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All right, brother. Hey, y'all. Well, that's it. It's 8 o'clock. I've left the whiteboard up for a minute. Everybody should be done chatting. You want to cut it off, Miss BB, or no?
Yeah, we cut it off. You guys have a good evening.
All right, y'all. Good night. I'll see you guys Friday night. And I'll take those questions down and we'll get to rock and rolling.